So as we fastly approach the end of September, there is a lot of new information that is dropping on Nintendo Switch titles that are slated for an October release that I want to share with you guys today. Then we also have to briefly cover a big eShop sale that you will want to pay attention to, especially if you're a Monster Hunter fan at all. And then I really want to update you guys on why you are maybe seeing that the last Smash character DLC edition has been leaked, and my personal thoughts around that story. And the big talking point for today's video is why, if you are wanting a Nintendo Switch OLED, it may be a lot harder to get this holiday season than we are prepared for currently. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. As I mentioned, guys, we're covering quite a few different stories today, as we just have a lot of new information that is dropping for new Nintendo Switch releases, especially as we close out the month of September and walk into the big month of October, which is obviously stacked with a lot of new additions, my biggest hype one being both the Switch OLED and especially Metroid Dread that I cannot wait to play through. But I do want to start off with a conversation around Super Monkey Ball Mania, as that is slated for an October release for the Nintendo Switch. It will actually be out on October 5th, and we are getting a lot of gameplay when it comes to this game running on the Nintendo Switch, and it looks very enjoyable. In fact, Nintendo Everything has a 45-minute gameplay video that I will link in the description down below. But if you are a Super Monkey Ball fan, this definitely looks like it will be a fun installment to pick up. As you know, it's another one of those Switch titles that when you have friends over, at least for me, I can definitely see myself booting this up and playing some multiplayer, as I actually did not play the GameCube one very much at all. I briefly played it at a friend's house once and had a bunch of fun, but I never picked it up myself. And I know that that's where a lot of the hardcore fans for this series lie, is on the GameCube games, when this game was heavily promoted and it sold very well. So I am excited to see it make a Switch debut. I do think it's a good fit for the Nintendo Switch, and just for that kind of classic multiplayer fun experience that you could boot up alongside of games like WarioWare, Get It Together, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Smash Bros, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of game this is for me. You can definitely do the single player challenges as well and try to set, your new records and share them online and things like that. So it will have a lot of different, aspects to the game, but I definitely see this one being a pickup for me, just simply for the fact so I can boot it up when friends are around and have another fun party game addition to the Nintendo Switch. And I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below if you have any interest in Super Monkey Ball Mania, if you're planning on picking it up. Oh, and one side thing that I forgot to mention is, I'm actually pumped all the different characters that they're adding into this game, because you can play with Sonic as well, and then the bananas turn into rings, and I just think all that stuff is awesome. So I would love to hear from you guys if you have some kind of interest in this game, and if you're planning on picking it up on October 5th when it releases for the Nintendo Switch. Now from there, we have a big update on a game that is headed to the Nintendo Switch that was actually supposed to be out tomorrow on September 30th. Well, really, it was supposed to be out in spring of 2020, but this game has continued to get delayed, and that is none other than Toy Soldiers HD. And I do think that I'm excited to pick this one up. Now, it is getting pushed back again, and this game has actually had quite the track record of being delayed, but I'd much rather personally see a developer continue to push back a game instead of releasing it unfinished and then trying to patch it as they go. Looking at Cyberpunk 2077 over there, as that game was obviously just a wreck of a game whenever it first released, and that's all anybody talks about or remembers the game as, because it was so unfinished. So it is good to see them at least taking the time to get this game up and running on all platforms. They are claiming now that with this new October 21st release date, that they are supposed to be able to launch it across the board with everything working without any problems. They have different multiplayer, single player modes, and performance improvements added in there. And then, so originally this game was going to be out in spring of 2020. Like I said, it was then moved to August of 2021, then to September 9th of this month, and then to September 30th, and now it's to October 21st. So maybe we'll get it on the 21st. Maybe they delay it again, who knows? But it is good to at least, have this game to look forward to, and have the developers taking it seriously enough that they're not just willing to put it out there unfinished. As again, that's just a big pet peeve for me when it comes to game development and things like that. I would much rather wait and get a finished product. But the reason I'm kind of excited for this game is I actually have a lot of nostalgia for the Army Men game back on the Nintendo 64, and I would play it in multiplayer with friends, and I just have some of those same vibes that kick off from this game. I'm not a big guy as far as multiplayer shooters. Anything like first-person shooters really does not do it for me, but this game is obviously one that looks super unrealistic. You can blow your friends up with rocket launchers and all this kind of crazy stuff, and so I will be excited to play through this on my Nintendo Switch when it hopefully does release on October 21st. And I would love to know if you guys have any interest in the Toy Soldiers HD game coming to the Nintendo Switch, and if you're going to be planning on picking it up at release. Now from there, I want to quickly update you guys on a major sale that is happening for the Monster Hunter series specifically that is available on the eShop. And if you've been around on the channel, you probably know that I own Monster Hunter Rise and I have not started it yet on my Nintendo Switch. And now that we have this DLC major announcement slated for a summer of 2022 release, I do think that, you know, before that happens, before the DLC drops, I will definitely make an effort to go in and play Monster Hunter Rise. But I wanted to quickly share this sale with you guys in case if you are on the fence about getting into the series and maybe you saw the Nintendo Direct and saw the massive expansion that they have planned for this title, and now might be a good time to pick it up, as Nintendo Life does have all of the different price points and the different games that are available, and this is actually across both the Switch and the 3DS line of games available, so it just may be a good time to consider picking them up if you are planning on getting them at all. So let's quickly hop over to Nintendo Life to read through their article. Nintendo's Monster Hunter sale discounts 5 games and lots of Rise DLC. Nintendo and Capcom have kicked off a special Monster Hunter franchise sale across the Switch and 3DS, discounting several games and DLC items. All deals listed below will remain live on the Switch and 3DS eShop until 11:59 Pacific time on October 3rd. Falling in line with current Nintendo Blockbuster sale, which is currently offering more than 300 games at discounted prices, here's the following pricing. Monster Hunter Rise was $59.99, is now on sale for $49.99. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate was previously $39 and is now for $15. Monster Hunter Generations was $39 and that is now $15 also. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate was $19.99 and is now $5.99. And Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, it was $29.99 and is now $8.99. So hopefully that'll help any of you all out there. If you were leaning on maybe potentially getting into the Monster Hunter series on the Switch, now would definitely be a good time to hop over to the eShop and check it out. And another reason I wanted to include this story is I would actually love to hear from you guys. If you are already Monster Hunter Rise fans, like which DLC packs would you actually recommend and say are totally worth it that I should maybe look into ahead of time as I'm building up to the summer of Monster Hunter Rise DLC expansion? As you know, obviously that's going to be the huge one, but I would love to know if there's any DLC packs that you guys have already gotten or played through, or maybe we're holding off on getting until a sale like this, and your personal thoughts around which ones are worth it. So make sure you share that with me in the comments down below. Now from there, I want to share with you guys the reason why you may be seeing circulating rumors online that the last DLC character for Smash Bros. Ultimate has indeed leaked, and people are suggesting that it is Sora from Kingdom Hearts. And I want to quickly start off with where this rumor and leak came from, because that is a big red flag in and of itself. It was an anonymous post on 4chan, and I would never cover a rumor or leak from 4chan as they're just so notoriously unreliable, but there's a big reason why this one is making the headlines, and it actually is something that either this person got extremely lucky or they know something and they are being honest here. So I want to start off by reading the post that they made, and keep in mind these dates. They made the post back in July 30th of this year, claiming the following. Actual info here: I work for Disney Music. Nintendo called last week to request rights to several tracks from Kingdom Hearts to use in a digital event on October 5th. Sora is the last Smash character. So while this is an anonymous user and we don't have any kind of track record for a leaker or anything like that, it does seem like if somebody wants to, you know, actually leak something and remain anonymous, that they would not try to call attention to themselves or build up some kind of profile that can be traced back to them. This is just an anonymous post on 4chan, but obviously you guys probably already know the reason that it's gaining a lot of traction and credibility is the fact that this person in July 30th predicted that there would be a digital event, or called out rather that there would be a digital Smash event on October 5th, which is definitely the day that we are expecting to see the last DLC character announced. So it's one of those things that it's like, if you were wanting to not be spoiled on what the last character was, this may in fact spoil it for us. It's definitely not guaranteed by any means, but you just have to look at the odds of them saying October 5th and we get an event on October 5th and it's an all digital Smash DLC event that you would expect to see music rights, you know, held from Kingdom Hearts if they're featuring Sora. So that's kind of like, I'm definitely thinking that this is the direction that it's going to go at this point. And I will tell you guys, I love the Kingdom Hearts series, and I actually think that this would be a fantastic send-off for the series. I'm going to be a little bit sad if the final character is not Waluigi, as I would have just loved to see the fans react to Waluigi being added into the roster. But I definitely will take Sora over Crash Bandicoot or Master Chief, as those were like two other characters that were heavily rumored at one point. So, you know, I personally am going to be happy with this. I know there is no way to make all of the Smash fans and internet people out there happy with the final character announcement. So there's definitely going to be a ton of disappointment and division around whether or not they think this is a good decision. But I would love to hear from you guys specifically who follow the channel if you would be happy with Sora as a final send-off. As again, I just think that his moveset and the way that he would control in Smash and the kind of final Smash abilities, all the different things that just go hand in hand with Sora, and I think he's going to be a fantastic fighter in Smash Bros. So personally, I think it's a win, but I would love to hear from you guys who your final Smash character DLC dream list would be like. If you just had one final character from any franchise, from any point in time, who would you pick to be the final send-off character in Smash Bros. Ultimate? So make sure you share your thoughts on this whole entire topic with me in the comments down below. Now, the final story I want to share with you guys today is really a big kind of warning and heads up, especially if you were somebody who is going to, at any point in time over this holiday season or the rest of this year, try to attempt to secure a Nintendo Switch OLED model, as we know to expect the release on October 8th. The pre-orders have come and gone at this point, but it does appear that, we're probably going to have a lot of retailers have separate day one stock that will be set aside besides just the pre-order launch stock that has already been accounted for. So you guys may want to start to watch out for this. I want to quickly start off the story just by reading through the article so we're on the same page with where the information is coming from, that we may indeed have a lot of shortages when it comes to Nintendo Switch OLED supply versus demand. Demand for Nintendo Switch OLED skyrockets in Japan. Nintendo Switch OLED console pre-orders have already started at some Japanese stores, and demand is reported to be 5 to 7 times above supply. With only 10 days to go until the launch of the Nintendo Switch OLED, the first reports of reservations in Japan point to demand between 5 and 7 times above supply in stores such as Yodobashi Camera, one of the commercial chains specialized in products most important electronic devices in the Japanese country. According to David Gibson, a consultant specialized in the Asian market, reserved lotteries, each unit is designated to a buyer by lottery given the lack of units for all. That leaves an obvious picture: there will be no Nintendo Switch OLED units for all interested in its premiere. So I think this is kind of one of those things that is to be expected, but it does appear that even though there's a lot of people who say that, they only play their Switch in dock mode and they don't want this upgrade, this thing is still going to fly off the shelves like hotcakes. So I would just encourage you guys that if you're planning on getting one for yourself or maybe a Christmas gift for anybody, like, you may want to start paying attention to these retail links now. I would recommend you guys to go over to Twitter and follow Wario64, as he just tweets out just about any new retail link when it comes to gaming related stuff that goes live, and you may want to do that especially on launch day for the Switch OLED model, as I do think that that's going to be probably the last window to officially secure one without too much extra hassle and headache. Like, there's definitely going to be bots and scalpers, which is a frustrating deal with the time that we're living in 2021, but this supply chain shortage when it comes to the chip shortage is a real thing, and I do think that it's going to end up impacting a launch like Nintendo Switch OLED, as we clearly see what is happening with the PS5 and Xbox Series X not being in store shelves at all since their original launch over a year ago. And obviously, while the Switch is using its same old chipset, which is probably a little bit easier to secure the correct amount of parts for, it's still using a brand new OLED screen and other new technology in the system, such as the upgraded storage and the kickstand. So there's no telling on what kind of supply constraints Nintendo's going to face here, and it's just one of those things that it might be, unfortunately for the foreseeable future, very hard to secure a Nintendo Switch OLED as we walk forward into the holiday season. But I would love to hear from you guys on what you think we're going to see as far as Switch OLED sales, supply versus demand. Are you going to try to get one yourself? And are you having any difficulties doing that so far? Or are you going to wait to see after day one if there's still leftover stock available? Or maybe you're just not interested in the OLED model at all, as I know there is a lot of fans who only play docked mode who are really just going to skip over this, newer, higher price console, as it does sell for $350. So please share all your thoughts and opinions on everything we talked about in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's gonna do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.